Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on how to streamline payments in Zoho Books. I'm Robin from Zoho Books team, and we are here to discuss how Zoho Books can help your payment process be more agile. Research from UK consumer payments indicate that in 74% of all payments made by volume are through direct debit as compared to 14% of payments made by regular methods. If you're running a business in a competitive world, then it becomes imperative for you to stay ahead of the curve. Offering ease of payments increases your chance of getting paid on time. Automating payment reminders can make sure your due dates are not violated and your cash flow is not affected. Online payments can also give you real-time status of your business cash flow. And in this webinar, we will see how Zoho Books can help you achieve all this and more. So here's the agenda for the day. First, we talk about how you can invoice your customers and how you can set payment terms for your customers. Next, we see how you can provide your customers with multiple ways to pay you. Moving on, we take a look at different ways you can record payments in Zoho Books. Then we take a look at how you can set up payment reminders and finally send an acknowledgement to your customers when you receive payments. Now, we would be looking at the report section that's related to the payments. Finally, we end the session with a walkthrough on how we integrate with Stripe and a Q&A session with our product experts. So let's get started, folks. Cash flow is the lifeblood of any business. To kickstart your business cash flow, you need to start with invoicing your customers. With Zoho Books, you can create invoices for your sales with invoice date and set payment terms when you create an invoice, and this automatically calculates your due date and gives you visibility of your cash flow. You can also include item details with any discount that you might want to include for your regular customers. And then you can send this invoice to your customers via email. While you're sending this invoice to your customers, you can include a payment option with the invoice. You can do this only if you have configured a payment gateway. By doing this, your customers can pay you straight out of the invoice, and this also increases your chances of getting paid on time and your cash flow remains healthy as well. A few businesses purchase products at regular intervals over a period of time. And if you have customers who purchase a product on a recurring basis, you can use the recurring invoice to automate the invoice creation process with Zoho Books. To create a recurring invoice profile, first select the customer and create a profile name. And for the particular type of recurring transaction, and select the recurring rate for the transaction. It can be daily, weekly, or monthly invoice. Then you can choose an end date and select the payment term for your invoice. Finally, select the item and discount rate, if any, and send the invoice. Zoho Books will send this invoice in repeat order of your choice. You also have a choice to either create invoice as a draft or create the invoice and send it to your customers with payment link. Or you can also create an invoice and send it to your customer and charge your customer without lifting a single finger. This can be repeated for as long as the recurring profile has been set up. Now that you've seen how you can invoice your customer with a few different formats, let's see how you can set up payment terms to your customers using Zoho Books. Payment terms are the conditions surrounding the payments part of the sale, typically specified by the seller to the buyer. Payment terms help you collect payments from the customer in a set period of time. This helps your business project a cash flow that's reliable in nature, and you can take decisions based on this insight. You can specify this for a particular sale, or you can have it specified for a particular customer. When you create a new customer in Zoho Books, you can specify the payment terms based on your agreement with your customer, and this will auto-populate itself in all the transactions. You might also have a scenario where the payment terms are different for a particular transaction. In this case, you can create a new invoice with where you can specify the payment terms and send this across to to your customer. As we mentioned earlier, this creates timeline for your customers to pay you, and it also gives you a clear visibility of your future cash flows. Now that you've figured out how to set up payment terms for your customer payments, it's time to give multiple payment options to your customers so that your chances of getting paid increase. Providing multiple payment options to your customers is possible with Zoho Books. If you have integrated with Payment Gateway, which we will see how to integrate with one later in the session, it becomes easier for you to collect payments. With Zoho Books, you have multiple options that you can provide as a payment method to your customers to complete their payments online. We also have a payment gateway for each region, and you can easily integrate with the payment gateway that's available for your region. Sometimes your customers can request you to send links to pay you on other platforms as well. Such a scenario can come up when they might not have access to their email to pay the invoices that you have sent across. In such cases, you can send them payment link through any other platform, and they can use payments, online payments, and complete the payment process. You can create a payment link after you've enabled it from the preferences section in the settings menu. You can also send a payment link to a particular customer for the amount that he owes you with the link expiration date as well, and your customer will receive it via any other platform, and he can pay you straight out of it. You can also send the invoice with the payment link to your customer, and your customer can pay you right from it. This happens only if you have configured a payment gateway. The next option your client has to pay you is through a self-service portal that you can enable for your client. In Zoho Books, we call it as client portal. You can enable client portal for any of your clients, either when you first create the client in Zoho Books, or you can go to the customer section and configure it later. Once you've enabled the access to your client can access this portal and check their receivables and payables, and they can also pay their unpaid invoices right from the client portal. Here in the client portal, customers have a choice of saving their credit card information for future transactions. Client portal is useful for clients that want to be empowered to have a look at his own invoices or approve his estimates, and also link their cards and pay you on time, preferably before the due date. By doing this, you have another way of staying in touch with your clients. You can also auto charge your clients using various methods. Auto charge is helpful when you have recurring invoices or your client's payment info is on file with you. You can charge your client to reduce the time spent on mundane things in your business. Your clients can enter their card information in client portal and save it for their future transactions. And after it's saved, all the recurring invoices are auto charged for the customer. If your client is unable to use client portal to enable auto charge, then you can associate their debit card or credit card with the customer, and all his recurring invoices will be auto charged in the future. Sometimes you might need to manually charge your customers as well. This option is useful when your clients have one-time invoice rather than a recurring invoice. Since recurring invoices have auto charge mechanism, but one-time invoices don't. After consulting with your client, you can manually charge your customer's card and complete the payment process. You can do this by going to a particular invoice and select record payment drop down and selecting charge customer option. Now in the next step, you will be asked to choose between an already saved card for this customer, or you can use a new card from your customer, and after selecting the appropriate option, you can provide and charge your customer. You will also have to record the payments you receive from your customers in Zoho Books. Since Zoho Books is tightly integrated with banks and payment gateways, if your customer pays you online, the payment status is automatically recorded in Zoho Books. This makes it easy for you to keep track of your payments that you have received right within your accounting solution, with no mismatch in categorizing transactions either. For your customer, it becomes much easier to pay you since it's done with just a few clicks. Some customers prefer paying via cash or check, and the payment is offline. Since Zoho Books will not know that there is a payment that has been done against a particular invoice, so if there is an offline payment, that you can go to the invoice and record an offline payment by entering all the necessary details, and the payment status is updated in Zoho Books. There might be a scenario where your customer makes a partial payment for a large order. Here you can go to the invoice and record payment and enter the partial amount, and through this the status of the invoice would be set as partially paid. This is what you have to do when the payment is made offline. When the partial payment is made online, then you need to categorize the payments. You might have received payments from your customers for a few unpaid invoices, and if the payment was made online, you can go to the banking module and categorize payments for each open invoice according to your preference, and the invoice status will be set accordingly in Zoho Books. Meaning fully paid invoices would have status that says paid, and the partial ones will have the status as partially paid. Now, what if there is an overpayment of an invoice? You can record this in Zoho Books as well. When you receive an overpayment, this is recorded in Payments Received section of Zoho Books. Zoho Books automatically stores the excess amount as unused credits, and these can be applied in later invoices. You can also do this by creating a credit note in Zoho Books and apply it for a particular invoice. The overpayment can be used as credits later. You can also split the payment received and apply it for a different invoice when you record payments manually. There is also an option to record refund of payments in Zoho Books. To do this, you have to go to Sales module and find the Payments Received section and click on More and select Refund. Now you enter the amount and you save it. All these payments are recorded when you receive payments from your customers. But what if there's a genuine delay from your customer, or they have just forgotten to pay a particular invoice? To avoid this and streamline the process, Zoho Books has payment reminders built into the product. You can do this manually by going to an invoice and selecting reminders and send it to customers, or you can automate it based on your preferences. So you can automate a reminder 1 2 days before the due date so that your customers can pay you before the due date. Next, you can automate a reminder 2 on the invoice due date so your customers can pay you then, and the next option would be to automate a mailer 3 days after the due date. With regards to reminders, you can pick and choose what works for your business and how your payment terms are with your clients. This will help you get paid on time every single time. You can also customize the email to include more information so that your clients have context for the invoice that needs to be paid. So this is the email that the customer receives when they receive a reminder for the payment that it's due. Now that you have received your payments, hopefully, you can send acknowledgement to your customers. You can automate this as well. As soon as you receive your payments, you can send a customized mailer to your customer acknowledging the payment received. You can also customize the payment thank you note mailer using placeholders to include more info and make it stand apart by branding it in your firm's color. You can also send a manual thank you note when you're recording an offline payment. You just have to click on the checkbox to send thank you note, and Zoho Books does the work for you. After you're done with all the payments process, you can now check reports to find various intricate details about the payments received. These reports are dynamic in nature, and hence, after every transaction that's related to payments, you can check these reports to find more insights about your business. We are highlighting a few of those here. You can check your accounts receivable aging details. Here you can find oldest unpaid invoice that you might have, and based on this you can follow up on your payment with your clients. Next report that we have is the time to get paid report. Here you can find which customers took how much time to pay you for your services. This report is really interesting. Here you can find patterns and use them to your advantage. Like, a few customers might pay you later than the others. To incentivize these customers, you can provide them with discount if they paid earlier, so your cash flow remains in a much better state. There's another report which shows you all the payments that you have received for a particular period. This gives you an insight on how much you got paid in a custom time frame. All these reports can be scheduled to fall in your inbox based on your preferences. You can set this up by clicking Schedule Reports and selecting the required frequency. You can also share it with people who are part of your Zoho Books org. And you can export it as PDF or a CSV file as well. Now, receiving online payments via Zoho Books is possible only if you have set payment gateways. So let's see how you can integrate with Stripe and set up an online payment gateway. Stripe is our preferred payment gateway because Zoho Books is tightly integrated with Stripe. You can create a new Stripe account with Zoho Books or log in using your credentials if you already have a Stripe account. To set up your Stripe account, log into your Zoho Books account and click the gear icon over here and select the online payments module. You will see a screen. You will see the screen, and then you can set up the Stripe account. After you click Setup Now, you will be taken to the login page of Stripe. Here you can log in with your old credentials, or you can sign up for a new account entirely. Now, let's see how you can set up a bank account to capture transaction details in Zoho Books. So, for demo purposes, you can see that my Stripe account is already set up. You can configure bank accounts to which customer payment is sent from Stripe and configure how Stripe fees are categorized in accounting solution. Zoho Books also has a Stripe clearing account when you set up Stripe with Zoho Books. The clearing account is an account set up in Zoho Books org which represents the amount that Stripe owes you. When you process a payment using Stripe, the balance of the clearing account will increase. When the Stripe pays money into your bank account, the balance of the clearing account will decrease. You can map your fees, account and also your sales account and save the bank account details over here. Now, let's see how you can collect online payments via Zoho Books. First, you need to go and create an invoice. You can go to the sales module, select invoices and click on the plus icon. Here, from this list, you can select the customer. You can select the invoice number, invoice date. You can select the terms right over here. So if you select the terms, your due date is automatically calculated. And after this, you can select the subject that you want to send to your client. I'm just writing demo over here. And then you select the item details that you've saved in your items module. The quantity and everything, you can change it over here. You can also see your stock in hand, the cost, and you can select your tax. You can also select the discount rate, shipping charges, adjustments, so on and so forth. You can now you have to click on the Stripe account so that your payment gateway is linked and your customers can pay you right out of the product over here. So once you select this Stripe, you can also allow customers to make partial payments for this invoice, and you can send this email to your customer's email ID. When you click save and send, you can see the email pop up over here with the invoice amount. This is the email that your customer will receive. You can edit this in the template section. You can also attach the customer payment and the PDF copy. You can select the range as well, and then send it to your customer, and your customer will receive this invoice on his email, and you can pay you straight out of this by clicking this pay now button. Now, after all the transaction that has taken place with Stripe, you can reconcile your Stripe payments account. So all the transactions that take place through Stripe is fetched and displayed in the Stripe clearing account. You can track and monitor the transaction that takes place on a daily basis from Zoho Books. To view this, go to the banking module and click on Stripe clearing from the list of accounts, and this account will be created automatically once the integration is complete. And under the overview tab, you can view the payment clearing summary graph and the recently added transactions as well. In the transactions tab though, you can view the list of all transactions such as consolidated sales that took place, the fee Stripe has charged, refunds if any, and the amount transferred to your bank account by Stripe. If there is an amount that Stripe owes you, you can view it from the amount in the Zoho Books column in the top left part of the page. If you have data in the Stripe account that was connected to your Wave account, you can move it to Zoho Books account as well. There are 4 steps involved in this process, which is very well laid out in this document. First, you need to export all your customers from Wave and import them into Zoho Books. You can check this guide out as well. The second step involves you exporting all your customer card profiles from Stripe and import them into Zoho Books. The steps involved are fairly simple. You log into your Stripe account, select the Customers tab on the left sidebar, and click on Export. You can select the date range. We have attached a screenshot for your reference. And if you want all the customers, you can choose all and choose the custom part in the columns drop down. Select the columns as seen below the image. The column with red boxes are mandatory and the others are optional, but they are still supported in Zoho Books, but that depends entirely upon you whether you want to import all these information. Now you click Export. Now a CSV file will be downloaded with customer details that you have selected. Now you need to import these Stripe cards into Zoho Books. So that to do this, go to the sales module on the left bar and select customers, and on the hamburger icon you can click on import cards from Stripe. You can choose the file and check out the character encoding if any, and then click next. So now you'll have to map the fields. Once you have done mapping with the fields, you can check the summary of your import in the preview screen over here and click on import. Next is to create recurring invoices in Zoho Books, the recurring invoices that you had in Wave. Since there is no option to export the recurring invoices from Wave, you will have to create the recurring invoices manually in Zoho Books. Next, you can associate your customer's card profile with recurring invoices. This is the final step. Once you've created recurring invoices, you will have to associate the card profiles with recurring invoices so that you can start collecting payments automatically. You can charge payments automatically if you associate all these details. Navigate to the recurring invoices module under the sales tab, and select the recurring invoices module and the card that you would like to associate with the particular recurring invoice profile. And here you can choose the card that you want to associate, and after you're done with it, a pop-up window will be shown to choose the card details of the customer. Select the card from the pop-up window and click associate. Now the card will be associated with recurring invoices. Similarly, you can associate the card information with other recurring invoices. These steps are fairly easy to follow. And now like setting up online payments is really easy. It saves a lot of time for you in the future. Still, if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us on the email ID. We also have our product experts to answer all your questions, so that you can feel free to ask these questions in the questions tab.